Every year, hundreds of hikers and outdoor enthusiasts go missing in our state and national parks all over the country. Too many of these folks are never seen again despite a large search and rescue effort. As the new year kicks off, unfortunately, so will the disappearances. Join me as I count down 10 more of the strangest state and national park missing person cases out there. Number 10. On July 8th of 2015, 76-year-old Harold Drake told a friend he was going on a long hike while they were camping together in Big Sur State Park in Monterey County, California. He took a gallon of water and a small pack containing snacks and had planned to return to the campsite that afternoon. But when Harold failed to return that night, the friend reported him missing. Monterey County Search and Rescue, along with the Monterey County Urban Search and Rescue Team, conducted a search of Pine Ridge Trail, which is one of the main trails leading out of the park. California State Park Ranger Sou joined in and focused their efforts on Big Sur State Park and the adjacent Big Sur River Gorge areas. After failing to locate any sign of Harold, more search and rescue teams from Monterey, Marin, and Santa Cruz counties arrived to assist in the search, including resources from the Naval Air Station and CHP. After a 5-day search, no sign of Harold was found. Those who knew him stated that he was a very experienced hiker, and despite being 76, was in good health. His disappearance continues to baffle many. Number 9. In September of 2016, a 68-year-old hiker went missing inside Columbia River Gorge in Oregon. Thomas McAdams, whose exact hiking plans were unknown, parked his car at the Horsetail Falls trailhead, and from there, no one else has seen him since. His family reported him missing after failing to return that night and stated that it was unusual for him to be gone overnight. Multnomah County Search and Rescue joined forces with Columbia River Gorge Park Rangers, and 150 volunteers searched over 200 square miles of the trail system within the gorge, but after several days, the search was forced to conclude due to limited information and lack of resources. Over 3 years later, no sign of him has come forward. Number 8. On March 8th of 2019, 21-year-old Porith Sou arrived at Pinkham Notch Visitor Center at the base of Mount Washington in New Hampshire. This was the last time he would be seen again, and his absence kicked off an intense search of Mount Washington, but no clues were found. With very little to go on, searchers believe Porith may have entered the Cutler River Drainage Trail, where they focused their initial efforts before expanding the search. But the combined efforts of the Fish and Game, New Hampshire Search and Rescue, dog teams, and over 100 volunteers, not a single clue has turned up. Several days later, the search was suspended due to the size of the possible search area, which included deep snow and a network of trails that quote-unquote goes on forever, according to a park representative. This case remains unsolved. Number 7. In January of 2019, a 32-year-old Canadian hiker went missing while hiking the Lost Coast Trail in Northern California. Rick, Raymond, and Eastep entered the trail on January 9th and shortly after sent a text to his shuttle driver telling him he had been in an accident and injured his back. He also stated that he was near Miller Flat on the trail. Immediately, the Humboldt County Search Office coordinated a search and rescue team consisting of 8 agencies and spent several days combing the trail system. Search and rescue located Rick's dry sack with his hiking permit near Big Bar. Not long after the discovery, some of his other backpacking supplies washed up on shore, but no other clues were found. The Coast Guard was called in to assist in the search in the waters near Spanish Flat and initiated FLIR technology, while ground units, including the search dogs, searched over 400 miles of rugged coastline and wilderness. Rough weather would eventually move into the area, thus ending the search after a week. Despite these combined efforts, Rick was never located and remains missing to this day. Number 6. On February 28th of 2019, a 70-year-old hiker arrived at Glacier Gorge Trailhead inside Rocky Mountains National Park in Colorado. Before doing so, James Pruitt told his family this would be one of several stops where he planned to do some winter hiking, but this would be the last time they'd ever hear from him. The family notified the National Park System, where they kicked off a week-long search beginning at the trailhead, where they found his vehicle. Dozens of experienced searchers from multiple agencies, dog teams, and a helicopter covered the winter trail between Nymph Lake and Dream Lake, where they thought James might have ventured into. From there, they fanned out to an area roughly 15 square miles, but no clues were found. During the intense search, weather conditions worsened by bringing in chest-deep snow and wind gusts of more than 40 miles per hour. James had been at the park since February 22nd and had also visited the area the previous 3 winters. Those who knew him were shocked to learn of his disappearance. Number 5. On Friday, July 12th of 2019, Barbara Thomas and her husband went on a short hike in the Mojave National Preserve near Essex, California, when the two became separated. Her husband, Bob Thomas, stated they were on a casual hike a few miles off the Kelbacker Road, just north of Interstate 40, and had only planned a short 2-mile hike, which they did on a regular basis. At some point, though, Bob stopped to take some photos of the surrounding beauty, while Barbara decided to head back to their RV to wait for him, which was less than a quarter mile away. But when he returned, the RV was still locked and she was nowhere to be seen. San Bernardino Search and Rescue were notified, thus kicking off a large search effort consisting of several dozen personnel, canine units, and expert trackers. Around this time, temperatures climbed over 100 degrees, complicating search efforts. Park rangers on horseback and aviation patrols assisted in the search, but yielded no clues to Barbara's whereabouts. And to this day, she remains missing. Number 4. On the morning of August 30th, 2019, a 27-year-old hiker named Kyle Brittain informed his family that he was planning to set out to the Transverse Zigzag Trail in Waipo Valley on the Big Island of Hawaii, but that was the last time anyone would see or hear from him again. According to witnesses, Kyle was last seen near the Waipo Valley Lookout, not far from where search and rescue would eventually find his car. The following day, Hawaii Island police and fire personnel, along with friends and family and volunteers, conducted an extensive air and ground search in the Waipoua and Wyman Valley areas. But despite these combined efforts, no trace of Kyle was ever found. Number 3. In August of 2018, a 42-year-old solitary hiker named Alla Kostenko walked 14 miles into the heart of Hatcher Pass in Alaska to do a little soul searching. He was a recent Russian immigrant who planned to hike out to a small cabin in the Purchase Creek Valley, where he would camp out for an unknown length of time while connecting with Mother Nature. Well, after failing to check in with friends and family as agreed, he was reported overdue and missing. A large search of the area kicked off, involving dozens of professional search outfits, and due to the sheer remoteness and harsh terrain, there was only so much that volunteers, friends, and family could do. No trace of Alla was found, but authorities were able to determine that his cell phone last pinged on December 3rd, several months after entering the wilderness. Searchers believe this may have been the same day he decided to hike back from his trip based on the location of the ping. Friends of Alla stated that he may have been lured into a false sense of security by what would appear to be a simple hike to the cabin. He was also noted as traveling light and may have not been as prepared as he should have been for an extended stay out there. Number 2. On December 8th of 2019, a 52-year-old hiker from Irvine, California, named Sree Mokkapati, went missing when he became separated from a group of 3 friends while venturing out from the village at Bear Flats inside the old Mount Baldy trail system in California. The plan was to hike a 3.5-mile lightly trafficked out and back trail that was highly maintained and easily traveled. At the point of separation, Sree's hiking companions noted how quickly he went missing and immediately returned to the trailhead to report the incident. Search crews from San Bernardino began to arrive shortly after, thus kicking off several days of intense searches in and around Bear Flats trail system. However, in the process of finding him, a 32-year-old volunteer named Tim Staples lost his life after falling into an ice chute along the way. It was then that Search and Rescue drew the line and called off the search, and as of January 2020, recovery efforts are still being evaluated. Number 1. In October of 2019, a 28-year-old Moses Lake hiker headed out to Hidden Lake Trailhead near Marble Mount in the northern Cascades of Washington State for an overnight camping trip. Rachel Lakoduk told her family that she'd planned to hike to a popular lookout cabin by her lonesome and would return the following afternoon. Well, that time came and went, and she failed to return, thus kicking off a large search effort involving more than 100 personnel and dog teams. Around this time, however, fog moved into the region, followed by heavy rain, complicating search efforts. Shortly before they reached the cabin at around 6,000 feet in elevation, they were forced to abandon their efforts for fear of avalanches. After several days, the search and effort became a recovery one, and they were eventually able to reach the cabin. But after conducting their investigation, they noted that it appeared Rachel had never even arrived. Although the official search has ended, there are still a handful of friends and family and volunteers keeping the search effort active, and I'll keep you updated should anything new come forward. And there you have it. If there's something we can learn from these cases, it's to never go hiking alone, and if you do, have a good support system in place should you ever find yourself in a dangerous situation. Always communicate your plans, carry protection, and expect the unexpected. Thanks for listening and subscribe for more videos.